February is Black History Month. CPAC joins dignitaries and the Toronto community at the Ontario Black History Society's annual kickoff celebration that recognizes the accomplishments and contributions of Black Canadians. We also take a look at the history of Toronto's very diverse Black community and its origins.
What a great honor on behalf of the Government of Canada to join with you in launching this year's Black History Month.
An important milestone is being marked in 2015. It was 20 years ago that the federal government officially declared February would be recognized as Black History Month nationally.
And the Ontario Black History Society, as you know, is the organization behind the formal commemorations of Black History Month at every level of government, starting out in 1979 with the City of Toronto and most recently with Jean Augustine. 20 years ago, in December 1995, the bill was passed making it Black History Month across Canada.
Why was it important for you to be here to mark this occasion?
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity to recognize Ontario's Black History Month, but also to recognize a whole segment of our population who have been so instrumental in fighting for justice and sustainable communities for a very long period of time.
Black Canadians have had a long and rich history in this country. While records name Matthew DaCosta as the first Black person to set foot on Canadian soil in the early 1600s, others are believed to have preceded him.
People of African origin have been arriving in different waves from the very beginning. Certainly I mentioned Matthew DaCosta being the first named African to be here, but there were Africans even with the Coureur de Bois in the 1400s and the 1500s. So it's a very long existing phenomenon.
While records were scarce in those days, recent recorded history paints a fascinating picture of the arrival of blacks in Canada.
The Black Loyalists who were part of founding this country. And that's something that I think Canadians and the world in general is not fully aware of.
Before the 1900s, I think that we were looking at migration and immigration of African peoples significantly coming through the United States. Canada was a beacon of hope and light before the Underground Railroad really went into high gear between the 1830s and 1865.
This is one of the first Black churches in Toronto, and Underground Railroad descendants still attend this church today.
The Ontario Black History Society takes us on one of the many guided historical tours they give throughout the year. First Baptist Church, founded in 1826, is one of the highlights.
Toronto was also home to 3 major Black churches, and while segregation was not formally practiced, it was nevertheless socially in existence, and Black people were not always welcome to worship with others.
This site honors Lucy and Thornton Blackburn, who started the first taxi cab company in Toronto.
From the site of Toronto's first cab company, we stop at the former home of William Peyton Hubbard, the city's first Black city councillor, elected in 1894, who at times served as acting mayor.
This is a home of William Peyton Hubbard. He was Toronto's first Black acting mayor.
I think we've come a long way in terms of the celebration of Black History Month and what it represents. And of course,
back at the Black History Month kickoff celebrations, Toronto's current mayor reflects on one of his predecessors.
He lost the first time out. Now, I have some reminiscences of that too, as I recall. But, however, he went on after that, and fortunately for him, municipal election terms were only 1 year in those days. He went on then to win 13 consecutive terms. William Hubbard did.
While Hubbard was born in Toronto, the diversity of blacks who immigrated to the city helped shape the country we live in today.
Over time, the population grew, people coming from other parts of the province of Ontario or the United States looking for work in the big city.
Many of the earliest black immigrants settled in Toronto neighborhoods like Seaton Village and the Ward, home to the city's original Chinatown.
Black people were everywhere that white people were, because black people sometimes settled in their own distinct areas, but segregation wasn't a strong phenomenon in the city of Toronto. After World War II and the change in the immigration laws in the 1960s, the significant increase in immigration came from the Caribbean.
The influx of blacks from parts of South America has also increased in recent years.
I think that it's important for us to be mindful that when we talk about the black community, we're talking about a community that is, by definition, diverse.
And that diversity is reflected every year during Black History Month as a way to help provide that often forgotten piece of Canada's story.
Black History Month is just a fantastic opportunity for Canadians to understand that how many great black Canadians helped to build this country.
If it was already included in a regular and routine way and people actually knew what the contributions and achievements that people of African origin had made towards the development of this country from the very beginning, there would never be a need.
Reporting from Toronto, Ontario, I'm Heather Seaman.